What is up, everybody? All my kaiju friends and fans. This is Phil, the Kaiju King, from my collection room in Greater Cincinnati. And in this video, I'll be doing a look at this here figure. This is the X Plus 30 centimeter Godzilla 2004 from Final Wars, affectionately known as Finalgoji. It's a great figure. It's an awesome figure. The movie is okay to me. I like some of the other movies in the era better. I like GMK much better. I like 02 and 03 much better. It's the kaiju fights in the film for me that are lackluster. They're all very one-sided in my opinion, as far as the battles Godzilla does all the way throughout the film. And then some of the other Millennium era movies, actually, the majority of them, in particular those three, the fights are very epic in my opinion, with Kiryu and Godzilla, and then GMK fighting three monsters. So, and the fights are more leveled out, except for the Baragon fight that GMK has with Baragon. He kind of wipes the floor with him easily, but the fights with Ghidorah and Mothra, or in that film, are more evened out. But in this movie, just in my view, my opinion, the fights are very, very one-sided towards Godzilla, and they're not very long fights. And it's just I would prefer to have the fights more leveled out and more competitive. Also, this Godzilla is the most athletic Godzilla of any Godzilla in my opinion. I call it the athletic Goji because he's just way athletic in the film. The one scene I always think of when I think about that is the when he's confronting Anguirus and King Caesar, I think, or Queen Caesar, because I don't know what that is. It's supposed to be King Caesar, but it looks like a female. And Anguirus is in ball form, and he's kicked toward Godzilla by King Caesar, if I'm not mistaken. And Godzilla dives and blocks him like a goalie would block a soccer ball. It's just crazy how athletic this Godzilla is in the movie compared to all other Godzillas. So most Godzillas are slow and lumbering, and this one is not. He's pretty athletic. So, but it's an okay movie for me. But the design of Godzilla is interesting. A lot different than the other Gojis in the era. But he portrays his likeness and his demeanor in the film very well in this figure. I do not have, there's a 25 centimeter version as well. I do not have that one. I've only got the 30. I've had the 30 when they announced the 25, and I really had no desire to get it. But in hindsight, I probably should have got it, because now they've released a Kaiser Ghidorah, which is 25 centimeter, and they released Monster X, which is 25 centimeters. So in hindsight, maybe I should have picked up the 25 centimeter Finalgoji. The movie's okay for me. I like 01, 02, and 03 are my favorite of that era. If I was going to pick one, I would have to say either GMK or 02 are my favorite, probably tied, because I do like the Kiryu battle, and the whole story in it is interesting. But this one is just, for me, okay. It's on the bottom three of the 6 of that era. So, but I do like the design of the Godzilla and everything. It's pretty cool. This figure is nicely done by X Plus. His footprint isn't too bad. Plus, he's a skinnier, smallish Godzilla, so his tail goes down and curves off here to his left. Its footprint isn't too dramatic in that respect, because the tail curves off to the side. So, but the tail is nicely done. Nice tree bark skin all on the tail. The dorsal plates start very small at the tip of the tail and get slowly bigger, and then they really escalate in size about halfway down the tail. and his dorsal plates are really taking form even before we get to his back on his tail. They're really pronounced on the upper part of his tail there, so that's pretty cool. But the tree bark skin is nicely sculpted on the tail. Very, very, very good definition, charcoal gray skin, just like most Godzillas. The dorsal plates on the back are nicely done. Nice spread out wide rows. Probably the smallest dorsal plates of any Godzilla or this Godzilla owns. They're not very big, they're not very wide, they're not very tall. They're just smallish in comparison to most other Godzillas. I mean, if you look at this one and then look at Godzilla 2000, oh my god, like the dorsal plates are way, way small compared to G2000 and any of the other Millennium, really. This is the smallest dorsal plates of any Godzilla, in my opinion. But they are nicely done nonetheless. Darker inner part with the bumpy texture on them, darkish grayish black almost on them, and then the outer is the light gray where the spikes are on the dorsal plate. So that's all very nicely done as far as that goes. The tree bark skin on the legs, on the upper chest, on the legs, on the arms, on the upper neck, everywhere. The tree bark skin is pretty nicely sculpted on this figure, I must say, in my opinion. They did a good job with capturing the essence and the look of Final Wars Goji 2004. But it is a nicely done figure. He's of course slender looking in the leg area and the hip area, but he was a smallish, skinnier Godzilla, so that makes sense. His feet are of course four-toed. Toenails are bonish white. At the base of the nails there's a darker brownish color that comes out from the skin out to the nail. His claws on his hands are four-clawed hands, same color, bonish white. Same deal, darker brownish toward the base of the nail at the skin, and then gets the lighter color as it goes out, as the nails extend out. But it's pretty cool, nicely done figure. He is one of the smaller 30 centimeter figures in my opinion. But it's really a cool figure though, I must say. It's a nicely done rendition of Final Wars Goji. His mouth and his head are unique to his own. He has a different style. Very, very deep inset eyes. You can't hardly really see his eyes at all. You have to really look to see them. They are there, but they're very, very deep inset eyes into his eyebrow. Probably the deepest eyes set into the eyebrow of any Godzilla. But his eyes are nicely done. They are all red with a black pupil. Makes him very menacing looking, by the way. But nice sculpting. He has nice noticeable ears. Most of the Millennium Godzillas do possess that, except for GMK really don't possess the pronounced ears like the rest of the Millennium Godzillas do. But he has pretty nice little pronounced ears, points sticking up, very, like I said, defined, deep eyebrow ridge on both eyes, and it really sets his eyes back in there, and you gotta really look to see them, but they are menacing looking if you see them. Get a good look at him. His tongue inside his mouth is actually purple in color. At least it looks like to me, but it's nicely sculpted. And then of course his teeth are all individually sculpted. Nicely done. They are the same color, looks like, as the toenails and fingernails. A little bit more white though to them than the toenails or fingernails, but they're all individually sculpted and pretty nicely done. Of course, this Godzilla, his jaws, his upper and lower jaws are more thinner to me than the other Godzillas in the era. They're thinner and more narrow. More looks like I bet if his mouth was closed, he'd look really more like a crocodile or something, or an alligator, than any of the other ones. GMK kind of looks like that too, but his mouth and stuff's all broader and wider and everything. But this is a really narrow mouth and upper and lower jaw, which distinguishes this Final Wars Godzilla from the other ones in the era. but it's a nicely done figure. X Plus did do a really cool job on this figure, and it captures him, and I love the pose too, by the way. The pose is pretty dynamic, like he's spinning around to confront one of the mini kaiju in the film. I do like the pose. I like the structure of how they did it. The sculpting of the skin is nice. The demeanor and the look of him screams the Final Wars Godzilla, which is nothing wrong with that. They did a good job on this here figure, and I don't think he's readily available anymore. This is the diamond reissue, so I'd say in the aftermarket he's probably kind of pricey, but I have no idea on that. But it's really a nice figure though overall. I've been wanting to do another Millennium Era Godzilla, and this weekend I thought I'd pick one, and I went with the Final Wars Godzilla, because he is unique to his own, as far as him and GMK are unique to their own in the whole series, because 02 and 03 are essentially the same suit. 99, 2000 are essentially the same. So him and GMK are really unique to their own. So I thought I'd do him. I've done GMK videos on my channel, and I haven't really hit Final Wars Godzilla yet, so I thought I'd take a crack at him, and I'm glad I did pick this figure up. It's another unique rendition of Godzilla, and like I said, I call it Athletic Goji, because in the film I've never seen Godzilla so athletic before. Alright, I'll do some size comparisons, and let's take a quick gander at that right now. Alright everybody, I'm back, and here is Finalgoji's direct predecessors. The 2002 Yuji Sakai Godzilla Rick Edition X Plus, and the X Plus 2003 Godzilla. Of course, I got the Sakai 02 came out earlier this year. The 03 Godzilla, when I got it, was at G-Fest 2017. So it does kind of hold a special place in my heart as far as this figure, because that was my first G-Fest I ever went to. And it was a figure I was looking for, and at that point it's very hard to find like it is now. And I paid actually a pretty penny for it, but I'm glad I got it, because it completes the Millennium lineup with the rest of them nicely. So, but these are all nice figures. Of course, if I was going to pick my favorite out of these three, it's definitely the Sakai 02. Great figure here, contender for figure of the year this year for X Plus. But these are all nicely done and direct sequence. 02, 03, and 04 Millennium Godzillas. Alright, I'll do one more quick size comparison. Let's move on to that right now. Alright everybody, I'm back. Here I've got the 25 centimeter Kaiser Ghidorah Rick Edition. This is a light up, his eyes light up, and I just didn't bring the plug. But on the back of his leg here, one of his little spikes removes, and that's where the plug-in is. It's hidden pretty well actually, but it's a pretty cool light up. These here, of course, do not quite scale together. Godzilla's a little big for him, which makes sense because he's a 30 centimeter figure. Well, I remember when the 25 came out, pictures I seen that those two scale together rather well. They look pretty cool together nonetheless, even though they are a tad out of scale, of course. But from the same film, that Kaiser Ghidorah is really nicely done. I'll probably do a review of it down the line eventually. But it is a pretty cool figure. They don't look too bad, really. Alright, I'll move on to some final thoughts on Finalgoji, and let's do that right now. Alright everybody, I'm back. Finalgoji, Athletic Goji, I like to call him. Great release from X Plus. They did a nice job on this figure. From what I've seen of the 25 centimeter, it looks pretty good too. His pose is, he's standing there pretty much straight up and his head's up in the air and he's roaring, I believe. And he did that a lot in the movie, like when he first got released from the ice. He did that. He does it a lot in that film. That roar, that particular pose. So it looks pretty good, and from what like I said, from what I've seen, he scaled well with Kaiser Ghidorah, and I'm sure it scaled well with Monster Zero too. Kind of wish they'd do more 30 centimeter figures from that movie. If I was gonna pick, I would say Anguirus. For me, Anguirus or Ghidorah. I know Ghidorah is a very quick cameo in the film, but I love Ghidorah, so I would like to see a Ghidorah from that movie, or Anguirus. I would say King Caesar, but that looks like Queen Caesar to me in that film. It looks female, so it kind of throws me off every time I see it. It's like weird to watch that. So, but I would say Anguirus, Ghidorah, or maybe even Kamunga would be cool from that film. So, and I would like them to scale with this Godzilla, which would be neat. So, but if you don't have this, and especially if you're a Final Wars fan, I would recommend these figures. All of them I've seen so far. I don't have Monster X, but Kaiser Ghidorah is really nicely done. This is nicely done. The 25 centimeter looks like it was nicely done. So hopefully they'll give us some more kaiju from that film, because there's plenty to choose from. Alright, I will bring the camera forth to a closer look at this guy. I want to thank everybody who always tunes in and supports my channel. Like the video if you like it. You can comment below as well. This is Phil, the Kaiju King, from my collection room here in Greater Cincinnati, and I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day.